When was the last time your son or daughter called you first? Can't remember, can you? Now you don't even call anymore. Because you've started counting how many days it's been since they reached out on their own. If you're between 45 and 65 years old, this video is specifically for you because today I'm going to tell you why you suddenly became invisible, why people avoid you after your income stops, and why your brain, yes, your own brain, is keeping you trapped in this loneliness. You're not broken. You haven't failed. What's happening is one of the most painful psychological crises a human can face. And your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, trying to protect you from a pain older than language itself. Stay until the end, because I'm going to tell you why you're still worthy of love. Even if no one's watching, you stop calling. Not because you don't want to hear their voices, but because you've started calculating how long since they reached out first. You scroll through old photos on your phone, the ones from birthdays and holidays when everyone still showed up, and you feel something sharp and familiar, the awareness that you've become optional. Your children are busy. Your grandchildren don't know you well enough to miss you. And somewhere along the way, between 45 and now, you became the person nobody checks on unless you're dying. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself you understand. But late at night, when the house is silent and the television flickers blue light across empty rooms, you wonder if this is what you were supposed to become. Invisible, unneeded, a relic of a life that moved on without you. This isn't about being forgotten. It's about something the brain does when survival and identity collide in midlife and beyond. When the roles you built yourself around disappear and you're left holding nothing but time. And before we go any further, you're not broken. You're not failing at being human. What you're experiencing is one of the most profound psychological reckonings a person can face, and your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from a pain so old and so primal that it predates language itself. The first thing you need to understand is this: your brain still operates on the assumption that isolation equals death. Evolutionarily, being cast out from the group meant you wouldn't survive. No protection, no resources, no future. And even though you live in a world with grocery stores and heating and cell phones, your nervous system doesn't know that. When your children stop calling, when your grandchildren barely recognize you, when the holidays come and you're alone, your brain registers this as threat. Not metaphorical threat, actual, body-level, survival threat. That's why the loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally, it hurts physically. It sits in your chest like a weight. It makes you tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. It's because your body is trying to conserve energy for a crisis it believes is happening right now. And here's where it gets complicated. You're not just dealing with isolation, you're dealing with invisibility. Because the loss of income didn't just take away your financial security, it took away your social value. We live in a world that equates worth with productivity, with contribution, with what you can offer. And when you can't offer money, when you can't help your kids with a down payment, or take your grandchildren on trips, or even just show up without needing something yourself, you become a burden. Or at least, that's what your brain tells you. So you pull back, you stop asking, you stop showing up. Not because you don't care, but because you're trying to protect them from the weight of you. You're trying to protect yourself from the confirmation that you were right all along, that love was conditional, and the condition was usefulness. But here's the part nobody tells you. This pulling back, it's not weakness, it's not bitterness. It's a deeply intelligent survival adaptation your brain learned decades ago, probably in childhood, when you first realized that being needed was safer than being wanted. That performing a role provider, helper, problem solver was more reliable than simply being loved for existing. Your brain learned that attention is earned, not given, that care is transactional, that you have to justify your place in people's lives. And for years that worked. You showed up, you provided, you solved, you made yourself necessary, and people stayed. But now the thing you built your identity on is gone. The role is obsolete, and without it, you don't know how to be loved because you never learned that you could be. Think about the way we talk about aging in this culture. We don't, or when we do, it's with euphemisms and pity and avoidance. Old age is treated like a failure, a slow decline into irrelevance. And if you don't have money, if you can't maintain independence, if you need help, the message is clear. You should have planned better. You should have saved more. You should have been smarter. The shame isn't just personal, it's structural. It's baked into every conversation about retirement and elder care and not being a burden. And when your children and grandchildren absorb that same cultural script, when they're taught that old age is something to manage, not honor, of course they pull away, not because they don't love you, but because they don't know how to hold both their love for you and their discomfort with what you represent, the inevitability of decline, the failure of the meritocracy, the fear that they could end up the same way. And this is where it gets interesting. Because what you're experiencing now, this abandonment, this irrelevance, it's activating an attachment wound that's been with you your entire life. Attachment theory tells us that the way we bond in childhood shapes the way we connect in adulthood. And if you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, where attention had to be earned, where emotional needs were ignored or punished, your brain learned early that people leave. That closeness is temporary. That you have to make yourself indispensable to be kept. So you did. You became the provider, the dependable one, the one who never asked for anything, and it worked for a while. But now, when you can't provide anymore, when you're the one who needs help, your brain doesn't just feel abandoned, it feels confirmed. It says, "See, I told you this would happen. I told you they'd leave once you stopped being useful." But here's the truth your brain isn't telling you. Your children aren't gone because they don't care. They're gone because they're overwhelmed. Because they're drowning in their own lives, jobs, mortgages, children, marriages, mental health, exhaustion. Because the systems that used to support families have collapsed, and everyone is barely holding on. Because caregiving in this country is unpaid, unsupported, and emotionally brutal. And because they don't know how to be with you in your pain without feeling like they're failing, so they avoid, they minimize, they tell themselves you're fine, they tell themselves they'll call next week, and next week becomes next month, and suddenly a year has passed, and the distance feels too big to cross. It's not that they don't love you, it's that the love is tangled up in guilt and fear and grief and systems that make connection almost impossible. And here's what happens to your brain during all of this. It starts to shut down. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly, it begins to conserve. It stops reaching out because rejection hurts too much. It stops hoping because hope is exhausting when it's never met. It stops imagining a future where things get better because that future feels like a lie. This is what psychologists call learned helplessness, with the point where the brain stops trying because it has learned through experience that trying doesn't work. And it's not giving up. It's protecting you from the repeated trauma of disappointment. Your brain is saying, if I don't expect anything, I can't be hurt. It's the same mechanism that helps people survive war, abuse, chronic illness. It's a mercy in its own way. But it also traps you in a loop where you stop reaching out, which means people stop reaching back, which confirms your belief that no one cares, which makes you pull back even more as you age. This behavior doesn't disappear. It deepens because the narrative you've been telling yourself your whole life, that you're only valuable when you're useful, gets louder, and the evidence around you seems to confirm it. Your body slows down, your memory falters, you need help with things you used to do easily, and every time you need something, you feel the weight of being a burden. So you stop asking, you stop telling people when you're struggling, You minimize your pain because you've learned that people don't want to hear it. And the isolation becomes its own kind of identity. You start to think of yourself as the person nobody visits, the one who's been forgotten. And after a while, you stop fighting it. You accept it. Not because it's true, but because accepting it hurts less than hoping. And yet, even in this state, your brain is still trying to regulate. It's still trying to create safety. Because here's what isolation offers that connection doesn't: predictability. When you're alone, you don't have to manage other people's emotions. You don't have to perform. You don't have to hide your pain or pretend you're okay. You don't have to brace for disappointment or rejection. Loneliness is painful, yes, but it's a known pain, and the brain will always choose known pain over unknown risk, so you stay in it. You build a life around it. You create routines that don't require other people. You learn to be okay with silence. You convince yourself that this is just how it is now, that this is what getting old means. And in a way, you're right, but not because you're unlovable, because the systems around you have abandoned elder care, because the culture has decided that aging is a private failure, not a communal responsibility. Here's what I want you to understand. The way you feel right now, abandoned, invisible, irrelevant, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of a society that has monetized human value and then discarded anyone who can't keep up. You didn't fail. The system failed you, and your children didn't stop caring. They're just surviving in the same system that's crushing you. The loneliness you feel is real, the grief is real, the invisibility is real, but it's not because you don't matter. It's because we've built a world that makes it nearly impossible to care for each other the way we're meant to. And your brain, in its ancient, loyal, protective way, is trying to keep you alive in a situation it was never designed for. You are not too old to be loved. You are not too poor to be valued. You are not a burden for existing. You are a human being in the last third of life, navigating a stage that terrifies everyone, including the people who love you. And the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still wondering if anyone cares, that's not pathetic. That's proof that some part of you still believes you deserve to be seen. And you do. Even if no one's looking, even if the phone doesn't ring, even if you're alone tonight, you deserve to be seen. And the fact that you've made it this far, carrying all of this, that's not nothing, that's everything.